Okay, now that we have our first post installed and it's temporary plumbed, and we also have our handrail here that gives us our height, so we know we're all good there. We want to move on to our stair landing post, and this is that post with the two angles here, and it goes on the very top tread up here. Actually, it goes on the landing, it doesn't go on the top tread. I should misspoke there. So up at the very top is where it'll go, and so we want to keep this in line to where these brackets line up. And normally they are pretty close. If you just measure from the nose of the stair here back to the center of this post that has the holes in it, that's usually pretty close to where you're going to be at. So that'll give you that. And then we want to make sure we keep the cable holes in a line. And I should have taped this off like I done in one of the earlier little tip videos, but an easy way to keep that in line is go ahead and take a piece of tape, and we want to take on the holes here, we want to line this piece of tape up so we have a line to measure to make sure off the edge of our deck. So I just take that, line that up nicely, split that hole, set this back up here. And I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of tape on this starter post, and it's always nice to do it prior to installation, but I forgot to, so we'll do it now. So I line those up again, and I usually want to get a couple holes centered up, and that gives us a straight line down. So there's that. So that's got our holes aligned. So the next thing I do, let's remove this little piece of scrap rail. Okay. And to find the angle of our handrail here for the placement of this, I normally just get a piece of scrap wood. A piece of 2x2 works real well, or whatever the length you have. You know, this is just a short little deal, so it doesn't take much, but you know, the longer it is, you may have to use a 2x4 or something and turn it on edge. I'll just use this piece of 1x material, grab a few screws here, and I just set it on top. And if you got a long run, it's always nice to have a couple people to hold this, but here I can do this little short deal by myself. And I just set it up on top, make sure it runs all the way, and then I just go ahead and temporarily screw it on there. Okay. And make sure we're kind of lined up on the stairs here. Put the other one in. So then I take this stair landing post and I move it over to where it intersects with this top deal. Now it may be off a little bit until you plumb this, so you usually want to take a level because it's not always setting plumb. And if we plumb this right about there is about where we want that plate to set. So we've got where we want the plate this way from the nose. So we need to get the same measurement from the edge of this to the center of our cable holes as we have down here. And that's real important to keep those cable holes all lined up. So we already put the blue tape on there. So we can measure from the edge of our deck back to our blue tape, which is 3 1/4, and then we can do the same thing here. We can measure back, oops, don't want to tip the post over, to 3 1/4. Okay, so we've got our alignment this way. So now we want to make sure the post is setting square on the deck. So the easy way, as I said before, to do is use your speed square here, and we'll just put it on the deck here. And then we'll make sure that base is squared up with that, and we're ready to install the screws. So we'll install a screw over here. And And like I said, I usually go kitty corner across. And then I'll grab a couple more screws. I'll go ahead and get screws in all 4 holes, or all the empty holes. That way I can plumb this correctly. All right, now that it's all anchored down, we want to go ahead and take and plumb this, and it's pretty plumb that direction. Needs to be moved over that way, just a little bit. So once again, on the opposite side, I'll loosen the hole, screws up a little bit. Grab a shim here. I want to grab a fairly thin one. And I'll put my level up here. And then I'll put a little bit of the shim underneath it. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So then I'll go ahead and tighten this back down. There we go. Okay. And so at that point, I want to attach this down to my landing post here, and get that attached so that it holds in line. Go ahead and just take a screw. And you can see our angle here fits pretty well, so that's good. Over just a little bit. Okay, so missed this a little, sheared off. That's one of the problems with using too small material. Okay, there we go. Now we're anchored solid here.